Good time of day, guys. My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.8 Matsuribayashi. Last episode, Oishi sumo wrestled Otaka, and the Mountain Dogs are struggling with the whole 48-hour operation thing. They don't know what's going on, and shit's hitting the fan. I don't know how close we are to the end of the chapter, but we've got to be getting there. So, yeah, let's continue. Are you sure? Did you really confirm that the Queen Carrier was at home yesterday? Finally, they're realizing what to do with fucking Irie. What do you mean by confirm? I just went by because I heard she caught a cold. So how could they have found her corpse? That's just impossible. That's right, that's impossible. But unless it's confirmed, some people might misunderstand. Who would misunderstand what? I mean, the whole village would go into a panic if they found out Rika Furude is dead. Now I'm certain that she's lying. I don't even need to wait to hear from Tomitake-san. Takano-san's objective is the execution of the emergency manual. Its premise is about to be destroyed, and that's why she's panicking. She finally found someone who showed an interest in her research, which made her feel better about herself. Yet that someone is about to cut her off, and that's why she's panicking. She's as pitiful as can be. If it were possible, if there was a way to reach out to her, I would reach out to save her from drowning. But my hand will never reach. It won't reach her unless she reaches out. She's drowning, but as long as she refuses to seek help, I'll never reach her. Until she realizes it herself, no matter how much I reach out, she'll refuse my helping hand. However, my selfish imagination will have to stop there for now. Is Rika-chan home or not? If she goes into the details, she'll become suspicious of me, since I told her I saw Rika-chan at home. That will put me in a very dangerous position. Apparently everyone's so fucking stupid to the point where where they're not suspicious of Irie. But whatever. A man who had been on the phone for some time put down the receiver. Major, there's no answer. There's nobody home. What is the observation unit saying? Since the 17th, the day they started their observation, there hasn't even been one phone call. Hey, Director Irie, that means Rika-chan is still at home, right? Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure. She has gotten so much better. Maybe she snuck out or something. Today is the day of the festival, remember? I think there are some vendors set up near Rika-chan's house. There are a lot of people around, so maybe your observers missed her. Well, can that be possible? Every time Director Irie leaves, we place a seal on the house afterwards. I don't think she could have gotten out through a window. So the Mountain Dogs are certain that R has not left the house, right? Yes, we're certain. R is inside of the R residence, and she hasn't left the house since the 17th. We're sure about that. The only person who checked inside was Director Irie, and nobody from the Mountain Dogs did. But you're sure about that, right? Well, One of the Mountain Dogs looked at me. I swallowed and then nodded to him. Then how do you explain R's corpse at the police station? Like I said, it's possible they made some kind of mistake. The autopsy isn't done yet, and the body hasn't been confirmed to be Rika Furude. It could be just a rumor. You already said that! How many hours do you think have passed since that rumor has gotten to Tokyo? Unless we do something about this, Tokyo will... Takano-san realized that I was standing next to her and shut her mouth. I could already tell what she wanted to say, though. Major, there's a phone call for you from Nomura-sama in Tokyo. Damn it! I told her to give me a little more time! Takano-san usually has a lot of self-control, but she's not doing so well right now. Even her body language makes it clear how irritated she is. Does she have a habit of scratching herself? As she folded her arms, I could see marks where her nails touched her skin. She's clearly not doing well. Takano-san is rather occupied right now. I'll take it. Nomura-san, right? I've never talked to her, have I? Sorry, this phone call is for the Major. The mountain dog looked alternately between Takano-san's and my faces. Director Irie, I have to take care of a few things. Could you please excuse yourself? Oh, sure. I understand. You're in charge of the Institute. I shouldn't say anything, huh? Somebody take him to the director's office. Hurry! She's basically telling me to get out. I left the security room quietly. Hello, this is Takano. Sorry to make you wait. I'm sorry to call you repeatedly. So did you find out anything else? I'm sorry. I've ordered my men to get to the bottom of this immediately. Some of them are headed out to the police station, and I'm just waiting to hear from them. I see. So you should be hearing from them soon, right? What time do you think you can call us? I'll call you as soon as I find out something. But it's hard to say what time, though. As soon as possible, of course. Major, have you ever been on an airplane before? Yes, of course. When an airplane takes off, an enormous amount of power is needed. That's why sometimes there's engine trouble during takeoff. If the plane hasn't sped up yet, all it has to do is slow down and abandon the takeoff. But if it has already sped up, it's more dangerous to stop, so they go ahead and take to the air. A jet plane has 4 engines, so even if one engine breaks down, it can still fly without problems. It's the same with our operation. There is more than one engine, so if we have enough speed, we'll go ahead with our plan. We'll figure out what to do later. But we are still only preparing to take off. Do you understand what I mean? The first step of the operation was Tomitake's assassination. That hasn't even happened yet, so what Nomura was saying was correct. If you already knew the plane you were on had a broken engine before it took off, what would you do? You'd get off, right? It's the same thing for us. Our clients want to get off the plane because they found out there was engine trouble before takeoff. If they were already at the point of no return, then a little mistake wouldn't matter that much. But since they're still before that point, they're overly cautious about even a tiny mistake. We are checking to see if it is, in fact, engine trouble as we speak. I know. You're like a traffic controller at a control tower. I'm like a flight attendant calming the passengers down. I'm doing my best to talk them into staying on board, even though there's a chance the plane will never take off. If it takes too long to fix the problem, this flight may be cancelled completely. Major Takano, that means your grandfather's work will be forever known as a madman's nonsense. Do you understand that? When one girl dies, all the villagers will go mad. That's just too silly. Where did you get such an idea? It sounds like some fantasy. What the hell? It's so stupid. Who in the world do Hifumi and Mio Takano think they are? It's just too funny. Takano ground her teeth. She squeezed the receiver so tightly her knuckles went white. Anyway, now do you understand what will happen? Do you get it? Your grandfather's honor depends on this, as does yours. Yes. Thank you for thinking about us. Don't worry. I'm your only ally. I'll help you achieve the ending that makes you happy. I'll be with you until the very end. So please find out if the information coming from the Okinomiya Police Department is true or false. I'll do my best, but it's not easy to deal with unhappy clients. I'm sorry to make you go through that. Please give me a little more time. Yes. Yes, goodbye. Takano made sure that Nomura hung up first, and then hung up herself. Hasn't Okanogi called yet? Call him! Major, we just called 10 minutes ago. He's supposed to call as soon as he learns something. Why don't you take a little break? Your coffee is... The unit member tried to serve a cup of coffee to Takano, but she knocked it aside. The cup fell on the floor, making a black puddle. Everybody in the security room went silent. Damn it. Somebody bring a mop to clean up this mess. I don't care if we called 10 minutes ago. Call him again! Tell him to find proof that Rika Furude isn't dead, and also capture Tomitake! Takano was starting to realize something. By now she could sense that there was something behind Tomitake's disappearance. Tomitake must know something about what's happening at the Okinomiya police station. He might look dumb, but he somehow found out about the plan, and he was trying to mess with Takano. So, Tomitake was clearly behind all of it. Takano had been intending to let him enjoy the festival that night if he behaved. The quickest way for Takano to be certain of what was happening would be to see Rika Furude's face at her house. But she couldn't leave, and she couldn't trust Irie. And because there were too many people around for the festival, the mountain dogs had their hands full. If she would answer the phone, that'd do. But she wouldn't answer. That meant the house was empty, and that Rika Furude's death was real. What went wrong? Who deceived Takano? There was only one person. The only person who claimed that he saw her at the house. Irie was the most suspicious person around. Finally, someone puts two and two together. Tomitake had left the hotel and was nowhere to be found. So maybe Rika had left her house and was hiding somewhere else. In other words, Irie betrayed her and was in contact with Tomitake? Start observing, Director Irie. What? Are you saying that he's lying? Why would he do that, though? Tomitake must have noticed our plan. He left the hotel and told Rika to go somewhere safe. He's deceived us, and we've been observing an empty house! The house can't be empty. There's definitely somebody in there. Do you have proof that it's R? It's not her. That person is there simply to deceive the mountain dogs, only to make it look like Rika is home. That's it! Tell Okunogi to break into the R residence! I don't know who's in there, but whoever it is, they're connected to Tomitake and Rika. Put the heat on them! But we can't break into the R residence, not today! There are just too many festival goers around there. We can't break in until the festival is over, which is around midnight. That's why all of you are here, right? Just do something! Why? Why can't you do what I tell you to do? Can't you follow my orders? Why? Can you only follow my patron's orders? Oh. The unit members could only watch in silence. They knew that nothing could comfort her. The noise of the phone suddenly broke the silence. Takano practically jumped. Yes. What? Major, good news. Crow successfully got the number the research division in Tokyo is calling for their scheduled reports. The phone number is in Shishibone City. The mountain dogs are trying to pinpoint the address. It's Tomitake! It has to be! Skylark, gather your most capable men. Brush your teeth. He's being cautious, so don't make any mistakes. Heron, give them backup. Understood. Skylark 1 to all units. As soon as we get the address, we'll move in. Everyone, get on board. Shit. Hasn't our man from the phone company called yet? I'll look into it. Give me 5 minutes. It was 8:45 a.m. They didn't know where in Shishibone he was staying, but depending on where it was, it might be too far to get there before 9 a.m. They would have to depend on luck. Damn it! Do it in 50 seconds, not 5 minutes! What the hell is taking so long? He's just punching the numbers into the computer! We've got it! The address is Hirosaka Block 1XX, Hotel Moderato. It's routing through a switch, so his room number's unknown. Did you hear that, Skylark? We've got it, we're heading out. Luckily, Hirosaka Block 1 was close enough. Okunogi had been right. Tomitake was hiding nearby. The garage doors of Okunogi Gardeners opened one after another, and the white van sped off in a hurry. That piece of shit! It's our turn now! He didn't even think there could be someone working against him in the research division. Now it's our turn for a surprise attack! Oh boy. Better run, Tomitake. Hotel Motorado. Despite its name, it had a cheap, stained sign out front. A dilapidated business hotel on the outskirts of town. The perfect place for someone to lay low in. They might draw in some guests if they renovated the building into a more modern love hotel, but it was clear they didn't have the capital for renovations and could go under any minute. That's the kind of hotel it was. Tomitake was staying in one of the rooms on the second floor. The interior of the room was worse than his previous hotel. It only had a bed and a phone. But that phone was what he needed the most at the moment. If he didn't have to receive regular reports, he would keep changing hotels, which was safer. But he needed up-to-date information from the research division, and his course of action would change according to that information. Moving about unnecessarily might cause miscommunication in case of an emergency. Tomitake never suspected that there was a spy in the research division. The ticking sound from the clock echoed throughout the room. It was almost 9 a.m., but the phone might not ring at 9 on the dot. Tomitake waited in front of the phone patiently. He tried to organize the information in his head so he could answer questions more calmly. At the same time, he kept in mind the possibility of an attack. At that time, he heard a woman scream in the distance. It happened again. He heard another scream. Tomitake got the sense that something was happening inside the hotel. His intuition told him that someone was checking every single room with a master key. Tomitake opened the curtain a little. He saw several mountain dogs who were blocking all the ways out of the hotel. How long had they been there? Finally, they had finally found where he was. Tomitake could hear their loud footsteps. He heard voices too. This one's empty! Next! This cheap hotel wouldn't have chains on the door. They had no means to fend off the master key. Tomitake could tell there were around 20 of them. No, maybe there were more. It'd be no use trying to fight with them. All he could do was hide. Under the bed? Or in the bathroom? At the very least, the ceiling wouldn't open up like in the movies. Should he jump out the window? It was the second floor after all. It was perfectly possible to survive a jump. They'd be expecting that, however, yet this was right on city grounds. If he was confident in his legs, it wouldn't be impossible to outrun them. Tomitake soon heard footsteps outside his door. This was it. He jumped from the window. Of course, there were mountain dogs on the ground waiting for him. They pointed, and about 6 of them started running after him. Tomitake shot off right from the position he landed in. This took the mountain dogs by surprise. He had started to dash right after he jumped out the second floor window. Tomitake was prepared to do something like that. He had been training in case of an emergency, just like this one.
Skylark 10 to Skylark 1! We've located the target! He's running! We need assistance! Skylark 1 to Heron! The target is heading west, using the back alleys! Stop him! Roger that! Heron 2, 3, and 4! Head on over there!
Here he comes!
That's him!
3 members of the mountain dogs jumped out from behind the streetlight and stood in Tomitake's way. They prepared to stop him, but Tomitake kept running at full speed. They quickly realized he wasn't running towards them to knock them down. He was trying to run past them. There was no point in them taking a fighting position. They lowered themselves and tried to tackle him simultaneously.
Now!
Tomitake jumped over them. He jumped over them like an Olympic athlete leaping over a hurdle. But he wasn't an Olympic athlete, and they weren't hurdles. Tomitake's heel struck one of the dogs. The 2 flanking Tomitake thought they'd seized hold of him. However, as he flew over them easily, he grabbed onto the 2 of their heads and smashed them against each other. Tomitake knew that this wouldn't stop them, but at least he'd gain a little time to run.
The target broke through the West Intercept team! He's still running! Damn it, what are you doing? Heron 10! Go around in the car, take the second left, and we'll get him at 9 o'clock! Are you okay? Shit! Don't let him get away! What strength! Shit, my nose is bleeding!
Tomitake saw a van with its door wide open ahead of him. It couldn't stop in time and it hit the wall. As soon as it stopped, several mountain dogs jumped out of the van.
Stop him, no matter what! Stop him!
Come on, there are 5 of us! Tomitake saw 5 men ahead of him. But he didn't think even those 5 could stop him. Why do trains sound their horn at people on the rails? It's not because the train will get damaged. It's because the people will get hurt.
Get away!
He yelled at them like the horn on a train. He wasn't warning them because they were in his way. He was warning them to move so that they didn't get hurt.
Look how many we are! We outnumber him 5 to 1! Don't tell me we can't stop him! No way! There's no way he can get past us! Let's go!
Tomitake didn't grin. After all, trains don't grin.
Whoa!
Okay, fade to black.
We captured Tomitake!
Really? It didn't take that long. I want to ask him some questions. Don't kill him, okay? Bring him over here. We'll kill him afterwards, but I've already got a great way for him to go. The phone continued to ring inside of Tomitake's empty hotel room. Within 30 minutes, Tomitake was dragged through the back door to Irie Institute, wearing a gag and handcuffs. Tomitake didn't even move, as though he was sedated. The Mountain Dog members had carried him out of the van. Irie saw Tomitake from his window and came out of his office in a hurry. Takano was already there. What's going on here, Takano-san? The Mountain Dog silently glared at Irie. He realized that he shouldn't have left his room. I didn't see Jiro-san for a while, so I became worried and had the Mountain Dogs look for him. It was a good thing I did, because look, he's gone terminal. He's developed terminal symptoms? Are you sure? Of course, Tomitake didn't reply. Irie decided not to say any more. I see. That's very unfortunate. Let's give him some medication as soon as we can. Of course. I hope it's not too late. Irie already knew. The Mountain Dogs had tracked him down. Irie wasn't sure if Tomitake was able to arrange something with Tokyo. He wasn't even sure if the Bloodhounds had been called in. He could guess that Tomitake didn't have time. If the Bloodhounds were called in, the Mountain Dogs would catch that information. And if that was the case, they would likely drop everything and run. But Tomitake was captured, and they brought him back to the Institute. That meant it hadn't gotten that far, and they were still trying to fix the damage. In other words, Tomitake wasn't able to do what they had hoped for. What were they going to do to Tomitake? Since they brought him back alive, were they planning to torture a confession out of him? That'd be very dangerous for him. He'd likely end up dead. Irie realized that he had to do something in Tomitake's place. The main reason why Irie had to rescue Tomitake was because he had no way out of contacting Tokyo on his own. Oh, no way to do that, yeah. Takano wanted Irie to be useless, so she never told him about how to get in touch with Tokyo. Irie could receive phone calls from Tokyo, but he could only call them through Takano. Therefore, Tomitake was the key. Unless Irie rescued him, they couldn't possibly win. But Irie wasn't like the Mountain Dogs. He was simply a researcher. There was no way Irie could rescue Tomitake from such a high-security area. There were 8 Mountain Dogs in the building. There were usually only 2, but Takano had called in more. Of course, the basement was a highly secured area, and one needed an access card to get in. That card was only given to people in Irie's position. In addition to the access card, one would need a fingerprint match as well. The access card alone wouldn't do it. Therefore, the only person who could rescue Tomitake from that high-security basement was Irie. And so, even if it was impossible, Irie had to do it. Irie bunched up his hands into fists and held them tight to encourage himself, but he only noticed that his fists were shaking. Hi. Irie. Did you forget? Irie remembered what Akasaka had told him. Yep. But it's very hard to anticipate your own danger. You can't underestimate it. You may not even get a chance to make the phone call. If you sense something odd, that's an emergency. Knowing the seriousness of the conspiracy, they won't hesitate to kill us. Please be very careful. Irie felt the cold sweat pooling on his back. Was this the emergency Akasaka was talking about? He shouldn't think that it was still okay. He might lose the chance to run. He realized that trying to do something by himself was foolish. He had a security access card, true, but that didn't mean he had to rescue Tomitake by himself. Just like how everyone else was trying to combine their efforts, he should also ask for help. Also, Tomitake was in their hands, which meant that the mountain dogs had realized they were under attack and were preparing to counter. It was very possible that they were suspicious of Irie too. Once they broke into Rika's house, Irie's lies would be exposed. Indeed, this was the emergency Akasaka was talking about. Irie had realized that. He was already in danger. He needed to leave immediately. The Sonozaki residence was their gathering spot in case of an emergency. His allies were congregating at the Sonozaki residence. He should explain the situation to them and think about how to rescue Tomitake. Takano probably wouldn't kill Tomitake immediately. She was intending to kill him that night, as the 5th year's curse, so there was still a little time left. He had allies, and with his security access card, there was still a chance to rescue him. Irie had to let Akasaka know that he was escaping. If they became suspicious of Irie, they would check the house, and Akasaka would be in danger too. In other words, it could cause a chain reaction. Irie didn't miss his last chance to escape, but he still had to do his final job. Irie picked up the phone at his desk, called Rika's home number, and left. It would continue to ring like that, sounding the emergency signal. Irie thought back to when he wondered how long he was going to stay in this director's room. He never knew this day would come so suddenly. He noticed the framed picture of his parents on his desk. Irie had become a doctor so he could clear up the misunderstanding between his parents and regain his family ties. But how did he get involved in something like this? No, he would return. He would return and continue the fight against Hinamizawa syndrome. He vowed to himself that he would never abandon that responsibility. I'll be back, Mom and Dad. Irie said his final goodbye and left the director's office.
Major, there's a call from the director's office to an outside number. The phone number is the R residence.
Eh? What does that mean? Can you listen in?
Of course, I'll put it up over the speaker.
One of the members flipped a switch. There was the sound of a ringtone. Why is Director Irie calling that house now?
Maybe R really is at home and he's trying to let her know that Tomitake has been captured.
That might be it. He has no idea we're listening in. What was Irie going to talk about? Takano waited patiently to eavesdrop on a conversation. And there was nothing but a ringtone. It had been over 30 seconds. There was no answer. Nobody was home.
The director sure is patient. I guess he's sure that she's home. Major! We have the director on the security camera at the back door!
The black and white quad display monitor showed Irie running out the back door.
What's going on? Who's calling from the director's room?
Takano became utterly confused, but the ringtone continued. It couldn't be. Takano finally realized what was going on.
It's a trap! He knew we were listening in, so he made a fake call! Irie is a traitor! Catch him! Security room on the first floor! Stop Director Irie! The target is heading to the staff parking lot from the back door!
The two mountain dogs who were playing cards in the security room on the first floor jumped into action. The security room was located next to the back door, so Irie was still within reach. Irie had made a serious mistake. He could have left the clinic during the 30 seconds Takano and her men were listening to the ringtone. But when he got to the parking lot, he realized he forgot his car key on his desk in the director's office, so he had to go back and get it. It was only at this point that he realized he shouldn't have gone back. He should have escaped on foot. But Irie wasn't used to emergencies, unlike Akasaka. It was a typical mistake any normal person who had never gone through anything dangerous would make. Although he made mistakes, he didn't forget to call Akasaka. People usually become extremely clumsy when they're in a rush. All he has to do was to turn the key, but he couldn't even do that smoothly. He kept turning the key, and finally the engine started. Irie still thought that he was alright. Even if one of them questioned him, all he would have to do would be to say that he was going out to get something. When he released the handbrake with his sweaty left hand, he saw two of the mountain dogs dashing out the back door. As the two of them looked around, Irie's eyes met with one of theirs in the rearview mirror. He pointed at Irie's car and the two of them started running towards it. The two of them looked extremely serious, and certainly not like they were chasing after him to return a dropped pen. Oh. Irie's body was soaked with sweat. Before the two of them could jump on the car, Irie stomped on the gas pedal and the car took off after spinning its wheels. Of course, the dogs didn't give up. They got into their own car and started to chase after Irie.
Security to base! The director is on the run in his car! Do you want us to force him to stop? Major!
This is Takano. He's probably headed to the Furude Shrine. There are too many people there, so it'll be impossible to catch him. Fine, don't worry about injuries. Don't let him go! Stop him by any means necessary!
Roger that. We'll force him to stop. Send backup just in case. Over. Roger that. We'll send Nightingale as backup. But don't wait for them! Stop him right now!
The mountain dogs had Irie's car in their view as it ran away at full speed. They have to find a perfect spot and timing to stop him. It's not easy to drive a car when you're in a rush. Of course, the more you step on a gas pedal, the more speed you gain. But when you're in a hurry, you can't control the steering wheel well enough to escape quickly. Irie could see his pursuers in his rearview mirror, and was completely distracted by that. He was driving carelessly. His driving was so reckless that he could easily get into an accident on his own. As the fear was driving him into confusion, he made a wrong turn. And that mistake made him even more confused and panicked.
Haha! Come on, director! You're going to lose your license for driving like that.
Although the two guys were ordered to stop him, they were starting to think Irie is going to get into an accident without them doing anything. They'd rather not drag this into a car chase if they didn't have to.
This is Phoenix 1. Security vehicle, come in.
The commander! Security vehicle here. We're still chasing him. We're on the path through the forest near the 5th district. Not sure of the exact location.
We are heading your way as your backup, as per HQ's orders. Estimated time of arrival is in 15 minutes. Don't wait for us. I don't think we'll be there in time.
Okanogi grumbled. He had to leave Okinomiya in a hurry to respond to Major Princess. But because of the distance, there was no way he could get there in time. Even so, he was still ordered to provide backup. He could have explained, but the princess wouldn't have listened to him anyway. The mountain dogs who were with Okanogi smiled bitterly.
In which direction are you heading?
In the worst case scenario, we'll end up leaving town.
Don't let him. We'll comb the hills for him, so break his legs. Is there anybody else? Any weapons?
It's in the middle of the forest. There's nobody around. We have one submachine gun in the security vehicle.
The guy in the passenger seat reclined it and climbed into the back. He lifted one of the seats and took out a black machine gun. The paint on one corner was coming off, and the shiny silver metal was exposed. It was a machine gun, but it didn't look as powerful as an ordinary one. However, once the dog extended a shoulder stock and set it in place, the weapon looked far more vicious.
It's an MP5, correct? Is it A5 or SD3?
The man in the back seat looked at the uniquely shaped gun barrel. It was thick and long.
It's SD3. There's a silencer as well.
You're allowed to fire. Shred his tires with a full burst.
Roger that. We're attacking.
The guy in the back seat opened up the driver's side back window and leaned out of the car. His sharp eyes aimed at one of the tires on Irie's vehicle. It was a straight road. Irie's car was weaving, but not enough to avoid a shot. The pursuers had his car in their sights. They were trying to get as close to Irie's car as possible, but they were afraid they might get caught up if it overturned. They soon decided that this was as close as they were going to get.
I'm going to fire on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.
Fire! The sound the machine gun made was a lot quieter than what people would imagine, but its power was unimaginable. One of the tires on Irie's car was cut to shreds and collapsed in a puff of white smoke. Because one tire collapsed all of a sudden, Irie lost control of his car. He tried to steer away, but that made things even worse. As it spun, Irie's car drove off the shoulder of the road and slid down the slope into the forest. The sound of trees breaking and the car being battered from every direction disappeared down the slope. The pursuers stopped their car and looked down after it, but the plants were growing so high it was impossible to check from there.
The attack was a success. The target vehicle went down the slope. It's possible that the driver is dead. We'll search on foot.
Phoenix 1, roger. Nightingale is in the area. If you're lucky, you'll run into them. We aren't even close. I'm counting on you. Good luck!
Roger. Ending transmission. Let's go!
The mountain dogs left their car and headed into the woods without hesitation. Oh boy, rip Irie. Oh, meanwhile, I just realized, they have like a fucking wedge of cheese on their front door. Akasaka had received the phone signal from Irie. The phone rang for over 3 minutes. The signal told Akasaka that Irie was in some kind of an emergency, and that Akasaka himself was in danger now. Takano made a mistake. She didn't realize the ringtone itself was the signal. She assumed someone staying at the house would pick up the phone eventually. Her error allowed Akasaka to receive that extremely important forewarning. Akasaka waited for exactly 3 minutes, then ran downstairs quickly. He had already put his shoes on while listening to the phone ringing. Akasaka had memorized the layout of the town from the map he'd kept near the phone. He knew the shortest route to the Sonozaki residence, as well as a number of alternative routes just in case the shortest was already blocked. People would be surprised to see a stranger coming out of the house, but Akasaka didn't care about that at the moment. He had to get to the Sonozaki residence immediately. However, the observers would see him, and that was a problem. They'd soon come after him. Upon finding the house empty, they'd assume the man who ran from it knew something. Once Akasaka left Rika's house, he had to be prepared to fight. He relaxed his shoulders and reached for the doorknob.
Major, there's a message from the unit observing the R residence. A suspicious man just exited the house.
A man? Who is it? Actually, I don't care, just catch him!
Loud and clear. We'll pursue and stop him!
It was only 10 a.m. It was a lively morning. Many people were getting ready for the festival. Akasaka weaved through the people going in the opposite direction and ran down the stairs leading from the shrine. The mountain dogs were already chasing after him. There was a significant gulf between the happy faces on the villagers and the serious faces on Akasaka and his pursuers. He could hear them coming up behind him. He didn't even need to turn around to check. Akasaka held his breath, focusing all of his senses to their limits as he sprinted even faster than he usually could with all his might. The success rate of an escape depends on the distance between the pursuer and the pursued. Even a little distance makes a difference. Akasaka ran down to the bottom of the stairs like the wind, then headed in the opposite direction, away from the Sonozaki residence. Of course, this wasn't a mistake of his. He just wanted to lose them.
Shit! What speed! Does he have wings on his feet or what?
The observers weren't ready for this chase. They never expected a fast and fully grown man to run out of the house. They assumed it would be a little girl. That assumption was their mistake. Besides, Akasaka's locomotive-like power was nothing like that of normal people. There was no way they could catch him. The mountain dogs fell for Akasaka's trick. They called HQ, told them that he was headed in the opposite direction, and followed him that way. Akasaka was confident that he could have them completely confused if he'd had a little more time. Not only that, he could have attacked them individually. Were there 3 pursuers? No, there were probably 4 of them. His mind, body, and skills were all in top condition, so it should be possible for him. Usually overrating oneself is dangerous, but Akasaka was above such an immature level. Resisting violently at a place other than his destination might prompt them to waste manpower and time. But Akasaka wasn't sure of the real meaning of Irie's phone signal. They were at a severe level of emergency. Akasaka had no time to waste, so he had to get to the Sonozaki residence. As Akasaka ran as fast as he could, he tried to think about the situation calmly. Could he attack them first and then head to the Sonozaki residence? The pursuers were scattered about and running out of breath. It would not be easy to fight 4 men at the same time, but it would be different to take them one-on-one. When Akasaka decided he had a high enough chance of winning, he took a deep breath and made a U-turn around a streetlight. What? The mountain dogs were surprised to see that the man who was running away from them was now running towards them. They prepared themselves to fight. But before Akasaka even reached them, he already had everything all planned out in his head. He had calculated how many blows would be required to take them all out. But his calculations were wrong. Without even needing a second blow, the first pursuer dropped after one of Akasaka's legendary armor-piercing punches connected with his face. And while the first was still in the air, his second armor-piercing punch took out the second pursuer. There was a chorus of cicadas, which woke Irie up. He needed a little time to realize what had just happened. His seatbelt had saved him from serious injury. However, it was sheer luck that the metal parts of the seatbelt didn't get tangled and that the door didn't become warped. He was on the bottom of the slope, near a different forest road. Irie endured the pain and removed his seatbelt. He got out of his car soon after. He heard someone walking towards him through the bushes. A pursuer. He couldn't get caught just yet. If he was captured, it would be impossible to rescue Tomitake. Not only that, nobody would ever know that Tomitake was captured in the basement of the clinic. Even though Irie knew he was helpless, he couldn't falter here. The only thing he could do was resist them, and run for as long as he could. But as soon as he started to run, Irie realized it. He had no strength. His legs were shaking and he couldn't even see straight. He had only been stepping on the gas pedal, but his lungs were about to explode, and his brain was lacking in oxygen. It had to be that certain type of exhaustion that came immediately after hyperarousal. Irie understood that intellectually, but he still couldn't get his body moving. He tried to run, albeit in a wobbly way. He heard a noise coming down the slope behind him. This was it. But Irie still tried to run as far as he could.
Security at HQ, we found him. He's injured. We'll capture him.
Irie heard the voice of his pursuer. Shit, he thought. What can I do? I have to run. I have to. Oh. Okay. I'm not singing. I'm not fucking singing, because I don't know what the fuck tune she's singing, so... Yeah, well, we're gonna skip Shion singing.
Shion-san, what's that song you've been singing?
Don't you know? It's really popular nowadays.
My apologies. I'm rather ignorant when it comes to pop music.
There was a wrecked car ahead. White smoke was still visible, so the accident must have just happened. Kasai slowed down. What is it? Oh, jeez! Hey, isn't that the coach? Their car stopped. The sound of the brakes startled Irie, and he fell on his behind. Irie was obviously the one who had been in the accident. Hey, coach! Is that your car? Shion-san.
Are you alright, Dr. Irie? You should go see a doctor.
We'll take the coach to the clinic so he can treat himself, huh?
Can you stand up? I'll take you there.
No, not the clinic. I can't go there. I have to go to the Sonozaki residence. Oh. Coach? Coach! What's going on? This isn't good. Kasai looked at Irie's car, then looked around the area. Then he whispered to Shion.
Shion-san, he must be in some kind of trouble.
What kind?
There are bullet holes in Dr. Irie's car, and they don't seem to be from an ordinary handgun.
Really? You take that end. Let's get him to the main house. Weren't there fucking people on him? Like, what's going on? Like, whatever. The two of them loaded Irie into the back seat, got in the car, and left in a hurry. Or did he climb back onto the road? I guess he climbed back onto the road. We have to ask the coach what's going on. He can't go back to the clinic. I wonder what he means.
Sound like he was running away from someone there, but I don't know. It's obvious that he was involved in something dangerous.
Hey! Where are you going? Shion was confused as to why Kasai suddenly made a wrong turn.
Dr. Irie's pursuers aimed for the tire of his car. They wanted to capture him alive. His pursuers are likely close by.
Are they after us? There's no car behind us and nothing in the air. In this area, we'd be impossible to follow unless they're tailing us.
I'm going to make another left turn just to be safe, and then head to the main house. Could you watch what happens behind us?
You got it!
Security at HQ. The target was picked up by a civilian vehicle. I'm setting the license plate number and the car model. Roger that. Nightingale, your target is the civilian vehicle now. Search for it immediately. Try to capture Director Irie alive. Neutralize the civilians as well, dead or alive.
Are you sure? Are you going to find him?
Don't worry. There's a tracking device on the director's coat. Nightingale's vehicle can catch the signal, and they can pinpoint where he is.
Irie was lying in the back seat, wearing his white coat. There was a device on his collar. The security department put it there just in case. So no matter how hard Shion tried to look for anyone following them, the enemy already knew exactly where they were.
This is Nightingale 3, we found the vehicle. Just made a turn by the watermill.
There was a map of Hinamizawa on the table in the security room. The path by the watermill led to a certain private property. It belonged to the Sonozaki family, and the Sonozaki residence was the only building on it.
Major!
Oh my, like rats in a trap. This is Phoenix 1. Nightingale, don't head in yet. Phoenix will join you in just a little bit. We'll go in together!
This is Nightingale 1, understood.
Okanogi! Don't give them any time! Why don't you let Nightingale go in? Bad connection. Huh? Nobody listens to me. Like to think Okanogi did that on purpose. The Sonozaki family's basement had a security system which displayed images captured from the various security cameras on the property. Of course, it wasn't as high-tech as the one at the Irie Institute. It was in the room on the second floor of a gasho house, a Japanese-style room where you had to kneel to avoid hitting your head. With bundles of wires snaking away from the monitors, it felt like a hidden chamber. There was electricity and a phone nearby, and although it was in a basement, it had all the basic amenities of the Sonozaki residence. At first, all the club members had watched the monitor curiously, but after a while it got too hot in such a tiny room. Mion and Rena stayed in the room to observe the monitor.
Mi-chan, look, there's a car.
That's Kasai-san's car. It's probably Shion. I bet she came because the festival's today. Jeez, why'd she have to come now? I don't have time for her! Their granny had been at the shrine since the early morning, so there was nobody upstairs to answer the door. And if Mion didn't answer it, Shion would think that nobody was home. Mion wondered if she should tell Shion what was going on. Shion could be helpful sometimes. Kasai's car stopped in front of the gate. Someone was getting out of it.
Huh? Mii-chan, look, isn't that the coach?
What?
They saw Shion and Kasai holding Irie on the monitor. Obviously, something serious had happened.
Let's move! Rena, Kei-chan, come with me! Satoko, watch the monitor! Rika-chan, don't come up. Hanyu, make sure Rika-chan doesn't move.
Leave it to me. I've got it. Meep, that's not fair.
Maybe Okanogi had made the right decision. If he had let Nightingale go in as Takano had ordered, it would have been on the monitor. But Okanogi ordered them to stand by until another unit arrived, so they waited. So Mion didn't notice that the enemy was about to attack. By this time, there were many vehicles belonging to the mountain dogs parked by the windmill. Okanogi and Phoenix 1 had joined with Nightingale, and they were getting ready to head in. However, it had been a good idea to leave Satoko to watch the monitor. And if Mion hadn't gone out, Irie would have been killed. Mion didn't know it yet, but Irie was their only hope of rescuing Tomitake. So as a result, entirely by circumstance, they did everything correctly. Wow. Great! So they did the right thing. Coincidentally. Not really for any real reason, but if it had been any different, then oops, the end.
Sis! I wonder if she's gone to the shrine already.
Shion!
Where did you come from? You were in the basement, weren't you? I'll tell the hag you were playing down there.
Who cares about that? How was the coach? Coach! Is he alive?
Huh? Are you all in trouble too? What's going on? Shi-chan, listen well. It's like this.
Coach! What happened? Oh, I'm sorry. The mountain dogs got Tomitake-san. He's in the clinic's basement. I got into an accident while they were chasing me.
Irie explained everything he could while enduring the pain. Everyone was happy to see him safe, but Mion's expression quickly grew stern. Then she asked Shion a question.
Is anyone after you?
Nobody was following us.
Come on, let's go in. I have a bad feeling.
They heard the sound of a car approaching, and it wasn't alone. Who could it be at this time of the day? It was a waste of precious seconds to even think that.
You idiot! They are after you, Shion!
I'm telling you, nobody was following us!
Kasai picked up both sisters and ran through the gate.
Let's go to the basement. It'll be safe there.
Mion-san! There are a lot of strange cars approaching!
I know! Go back to the basement! I'll shut the door! Where's Rika-chan?
She went into the secret room with Hanyu-san.
This is Nightingale 6. We found the target. Some of our friends are there, too. R is hiding there. I know. Right. Jiro-san?
Tomitake was lying on the floor of the security room. His hands and legs were cuffed, and there was another pair of handcuffs to connect them, leaving him bent backwards on the floor. He couldn't get up or even turn around. Takano laughed and poked Tomitake's side with the toe of her shoe. The mountain dogs climbed over the fence easily. There was no need for anyone to explain at this point. It was obvious that they were the enemy, and that they were the mountain dogs that Rika had spoken about many times. They went through the grove of trees and headed for the entrance of the underground storehouse. The first 5 mountain dogs were supposed to capture them all, but they fell down one after another. Just as one of the mountain dogs started to wonder why they fell, he felt something on his leg. The next moment, he was flying through the air.
Shit!
As he stood up, his leg got pulled again. He realized then that there was a rope wrapped around his leg. Because of the way he fell, the rope was wrapped tightly around it and wouldn't come off easily.
Be careful! There are traps in the bushes!
Satoko had set up lots of traps in the bushes. After all, she wouldn't just sit around all day on an empty property. The club members headed into the underground storehouse one after another. The mountain dogs couldn't do anything, although they did see them.
I'm closing the door! Come on, help me! Here we go!
It was a heavy door, but when they put their strength together, it closed easily. Mion locked the door quickly, putting on the deadbolt for good measure.
Do you think this will be enough? Don't you think they'll break this door? Don't you think? I saw 5 or 6. No, perhaps even more cars on the monitor. They're all vans, and I saw strange men inside of them.
I don't think this door will be broken that easily, but I'd imagine they are used to doing things like this. We shouldn't underestimate them. Before he could even finish speaking, someone pounded on the door. The second group of mountain dogs had arrived. Although the heavy door was separating them, it wasn't at all comforting to know that the enemy was just on the other side.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
You haven't done anything wrong. Let's go farther in.
Yeah, let's find out how many there are on the monitor.
Okay, fine. Leave me out of this. I'm just an outcast.
Oh, shut up! I'll explain when I have 5 minutes to spare.
Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1, the targets are in the basement. There's a steel door here and we can't break through.
Phoenix 1, roger that. Shit, this Sonozaki family must be so rich. The property is too huge for us to surround, so we won't even try. Let's join Nightingale. Nightingale, knock some trees down. We'll use them to ram down the door.
Phoenix 7 to Phoenix 1, we have some plastic explosives for indoor use. Do you want us to get them ready?
Plastic explosives are explosives for military use. There are various different kinds, but he was talking about the type specially made to break down doors. Okanogi momentarily thought it was a good idea, but changed his mind right away. This was a small village. If there was an explosion, everybody would hear. It was daytime and they were on the surface. It was the worst time and place for the mountain dogs to do their job.
An explosion isn't a good idea. Wait a minute. What time is it now?
It's almost 10 a.m.
I see. Phoenix 7 will do it. Get the fuse ready.
Huh? Commander, what does 10 a.m. have to do with an explosion?
I would say like a fucking church bell, but they don't have one. And why would it ring at 10? Okanogi's mind was working sharper than ever. He was sure that this would work. Everyone gathered in the secret room.
Is everyone okay?
Hello. We were watching the monitor. There are about 30 guys out there.
That many? That's not good.
Can I see? Look, they don't know what to do.
When Mion touched the switch, the screen switched to the view of the entrance to the basement. Some of the mountain dogs were checking out the door. They didn't appear to be trying to force it open. They were simply at a loss for what to do.
What do you think they'll do now?
I mean, if it's just a door in, like, the side of a mountain or something, it's surrounded by dirt and stone. Like, fucking dig through it. Get your hands dirty.
They think we're trapped rats in here. So I'm sure they're going to try breaking open the door.
What the heck? What are they doing with that log?
They must be thinking of using it as a battering ram.
Sadako just said they're assuming we're trapped rats. We should get out of here while they're trying to open the door.
I agree. Besides, we have to rescue Tomitake-san.
You're right. No matter how strong the door is, we'll be in big trouble if they find us. I think it's time for us to escape. Sis, don't you think we should call the police?
Oh, yeah. We completely forgot about that. Even if a spy at the police station overhears us, there really isn't much he can do at this point anyway. I'm sure Oishi-san will come right over.
Mion picked up the phone. Why hadn't she thought about this earlier?
What?
What's the matter? Mion panicked as she tried to listen for a dial tone.
The phone? What's going on? I don't hear anything.
They must have cut the line.
What?
Suddenly, everything went dark.
What? Is this a power failure?
Kasai lit his cigarette lighter, and Mion turned her emergency flashlight on.
This is the drawback of a basement. But they won't be able to see either, right?
They probably brought lights. I know, but they might have some kind of device that lets them see in the dark. Don't you think?
Mion-san, why do you think they cut the electricity? Are they just going on the offensive?
If nothing else, it worked to turn the security system off.
They were checking out the door. They didn't give up. They have a way to destroy the door, and they don't want us to notice it. That's why they cut the electricity.
Are they going to blow up the door? The door could be destroyed in a second, so we can't stay here, right?
Michan, let's get out of here. Show us the way to the hidden escape route.
This way, everyone. Mion was getting confused amidst all the chaos. She hadn't underestimated the mountain dogs. She even considered that they would have some explosives, but she didn't think they would use them in Hinamizawa in broad daylight. Somebody will hear the explosion. Is there even such a thing as a silent explosive? Yeah, they just push the mute button and it doesn't make a sound anymore.
What a rough bunch! They're not even concerned with minor risks.
This is a crazy situation, but the mountain dogs are always very, very careful. I don't know about Takano-san, but there is no way Okanogi-san would allow an explosion in the middle of the day.
Yet they're still going to do it, huh? They've got guts!
I don't know much about them, but just like a silencer on a gun, aren't there, like, silent explosives?
Like I just said, it's the mute button.
No way! No matter what you do, an explosion sounds like an explosion. Oh, I get it! You're a staff member for the festival, aren't you, Coach? What time do they let people know if the festival is going to take place?
I'm pretty sure it's at 10 a.m.
Ow! Do you think, just like on a track and field day...
If you want to hide a tree, hide it in the forest.
Huh?
Rika knew Okanogi well. He would always complain about how he had to guard her like she was a princess. Rika had never expected Okanogi to be so sharp. That was why she was more frustrated than anyone else. The mountain dogs had quickly set explosives on the basement door. Long wires were connected to the explosives, and the mountain dogs were waiting at the other end, lying flat on the ground. One of the members was holding a detonation switch. All the wires were linked to it.
It's almost 10.
This morning, I thought it was bad luck that this happened on the day of the Watanagashi festival. But now I'm glad about it.
Okanogi had realized that he could use the festival effectively. He was going to make sure his enemies got what they deserved. On the morning of a village event, they used fireworks to let everyone know that an event is going to take place that day. This method is often used for track and field days at schools, maybe if you have a budget and aren't in the United States. Ironically, we don't use fireworks as much as you'd think we would with how fucking American fireworks are sometimes, but whatever. Since Watanagashi starts in the evening, the fireworks go up at 10 a.m. Or maybe the Japanese just really, 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 really love fireworks. The fireworks, of course, make loud explosive noises. Since Hinamizawa is located in a ravine, the sound echoes, making it hard to figure out where it's coming from. And that was an advantage for the mountain dogs.
Now!
A loud noise and a shock shook the ground like an earthquake. The explosion must have warped support beams everywhere. There was a discomforting squeaky noise, and dust fell from the ceiling. It certainly was powerful. The explosion must have blown the door wide open. An explosion that took place without anyone noticing it.
Come on! This way!
Mion led everyone into one of the rocky caves. There was a well-hidden shaft in there. They called it a hidden well, but it was actually a very eerie vertical tunnel. They didn't have enough flashlights for everyone, so there was no way for them to see the entirety of this ominous hidden well.
Are you telling us to go down there? How far does this go? There's a horizontal tunnel crossing it after about 30 meters. We can get into the mountains through that tunnel.
Okay, then why don't you go first, sis? You know the way around here better than anyone.
Huh? Do I have to?
Who else? Kasai and I will be the rear guard. Come on, hurry up!
Okay.
Mion was going to volunteer to take the rear, but Mion and Shion knew instinctively. Because there were so many of them, the rear might not make it in time. Unlike the iron door at the entrance, once the enemies were inside, all they'd have to do was go through the inner doors, which were easily breakable. The route was basically a straight line. They probably won't get lost on their way. That's why Shion took the rear guard position before Mion did. After all, she was actually the older sister. In case you forgot that factoid, Shion wanted to protect her younger sister, who was playing the older sister in this real emergency. Mion intuitively knew what Shion was thinking. Mion understood well the relationship between her sister and herself. She wasn't the only one who felt guilty for taking the older sister's position. Shion felt guilty for making Mion take on the responsibility of the family head. And here, finally, was a chance for Shion to atone.
Mion-san, do you have the key to the armory? Now is the time to open it.
Mion silently threw over the key. Kasai and Shion took it and ran deep into the rock tunnel.
Listen, everyone! It's about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. If you fall, that's it for you. It's dark, so be very careful as you go down. If you end up waiting, make sure to light the way for the others, okay? I think only 1 or 2 can go down at the same time. I'll go first. Come on, give me some light.
Mion-san, be careful. The ones with the flashlights, you be careful too. If the lights were on, they could have gone down quickly. There were actually a few light bulbs inside of the well. Of course, Mion had already checked them. It was now certain that the enemy had cut the power to the basement. It was extremely dangerous to go down this well with just a little light from the flashlights. As one went down, there had to be people lighting up the way. Mion was right. She realized as she went down herself that it was almost impossible to go down the ladder without the weak light from the flashlights. The lights didn't reach all the way down. In the darkness, her feet suddenly became unsteady. Every step she took made her more nervous. It was about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. That's quite deep enough already. But the hidden well went deeper than that. If Mion fell, she wouldn't just injure herself. Hasn't it been 30 meters yet, she thought. She couldn't even remember exactly how long 30 meters was. Had she missed the horizontal tunnel already? At that time, she felt a cool breeze on her body. She could sense a huge hole nearby, so she took out a flashlight to light the surrounding area. She saw the black tunnel yawning before her.
Okay, here I go. Okay, I found the tunnel. Rika-chan, come down.
Mion lit up the way from below.
Okay, you're next, Rika-chan. Coach, you go next, then Hanyu, then Satoko, okay? Let's move.
Irie wanted to say that he would go last, but Rena gave the order first. They couldn't get into the basement of the clinic without Irie. Without him, they couldn't rescue Tomitake. Their lives were all equally important, but at least for the moment, his was the second most vital after Rika.
Please be careful. I'll light your way.
Okay. Come on, everyone. Hurry up. Rika!
Rika was much shorter than Mion. She couldn't go down the ladder as easily. Her legs were too short and her left foot slipped.
I'm okay. Damn it. I'm sick of this life where I never grow up. I'll pass through June of 1983, and I'll grow taller. My boobs will get bigger. I won't stay like this forever.
Yeah. Good one. Though she had been living for over 100 years, Rika was still afraid of heights. As she fought that fear, she tried to climb down as quickly as possible. After a while, the light from the top didn't reach her anymore, and Mion's light from below lit her way. Mion's light was enough. The next person could come down.
I'm okay. Whoever's next can go. Okay. Coach, you're up next. You're a grown man, so go down quickly.
Right. I'll go next.
The mountain dogs moved forward carefully, wearing special goggles so they could see in the dark. The one in front noticed Satogo's trap and stopped the rest of the men.
Nightingale 7 to Nightingale 1. I just found a wire trap. Be careful coming in.
Roger that! Phoenix 1, there are more traps. Why don't we turn the lights back on?
Idiot. That'll only help them escape more easily. They must be having problems trying to escape in this darkness. We have to give them as much trouble as possible. Corner them into darkness and we'll get them. This is a huge cave system. There must be another way out. They won't try to hide. They'll try to escape. Give the assault unit some firearms, bulletproof shields, and grenades. The Sonozakis are basically a major Yakuza family. Assume they can counter us with smuggled guns. Which means watch out for those tripwires and claymores. Unless you want to end up with thousands of lead pills in your body. They'll shred you apart!
Roger! Satogo's traps were effective only because they were professionals. Satogo had assumed any professionals would misinterpret her traps as more dangerous ones. That was why she ran wires everywhere. And Satogo was right. Although the mountain dogs were successful at breaking down the iron door, they hadn't even reached the torture room. However, the huge cave with the hidden well was just on the other side of the door to the torture room. It was just a matter of time before the enemy caught them.
Okay, Rena, you're next.
Yep. You come down in a hurry too, Keiichi-kun.
Kei-chan, how is it up there? Rena's coming down right now. She's moving right along.
Okay, don't fall. The rumors say that all the people who ever opposed the Sonozaki family were dumped into this well. It's a bottomless pit.
What? Shion, what the heck are you carrying around?
Shion had returned with a big machine gun in her hands.
What the heck, Keiichi thought. It's one of those machine guns they use in war movies.
Its defining characteristic is the way the magazine is bent forward. What's it called again? Kasai had one in his hands too. He appeared used to handling machine guns. It almost didn't look real. But it seemed like a natural fit for the surreal world lit only by flashlights. Keiichi felt like the odd one out here, since he didn't know how to use a gun. Shion and Kasai head on opposite sides of the cave so they can see the entrance to the torture room. Not only Kasai, but Shion also seemed to be used to doing things like that.
Shion, I'll do that. So why don't you go down next?
Thank you for the manly offer, Kei-chan. But it'd be much quicker if you went down swiftly than if I had to explain how this Kalashnikov works. Don't worry. A pretty girl like me will never die.
As Shion winked at Keiichi, they heard a door being knocked down nearby. Immediately, Shion and Kasai's looks turned stern, and they took cover behind the rocks, aiming their guns into the darkness. The enemies had entered the torture room. There was a flashlight next to the door. Kasai had left it there. The mountain dogs seemed to be able to see in the darkness, even though they couldn't. So it was an improvised solution. The footsteps of the mountain dogs were growing closer. They were passing through the torture room. In other words, the door was the only thing separating them from their enemies.
Keiichi-kun, hurry!
Shion, you go first!
Shion-san?
If something happens to you and I live, my sister will never forgive me for that. I don't have my loved one anymore, but she does.
Huh? What are you talking about now of all times?
I don't plan to die, but please tell Shion this. I want us to be twins again in the next life.
Get going!
Shion yelled, telling Keiichi to move on. He didn't understand why Shion said to tell Shion, but she asked him, so he had to convey that message. Otherwise, if something terrible really happened, Shion's message would never reach Mion. An explosion shook the air. Oh boy, they're fighting. Something was thrown in from the torture room. The explosion from that and the noise from Kasai's machine gun sounded at the same time. The clamor echoed in the cave. All I can do as those violent flashes of light burned a series of images into my eyes is shed tears over my own intolerable powerlessness and climb down the ladder. Mion quickly screamed from below. I descended and screamed up to the top too.
Nightingale 1! They attacked us! The enemies are trying to stop us from the huge cave on the other side of the torture room. There were 2 muzzle flashes. Probably AKs. Whoever it is, he's a professional. Phoenix 1, give us an order.
There we go. Our opponent is a professional. Don't go in unless you graduated from the killing house. Nightingale 1 and 2. Phoenix 7 and 8, get ready to move in. How many firearms do we have?
We have 4 MP5s and plenty of grenades. We can't trust our bulletproof shields, so we abandoned them. There's a flashlight on the ground, right on the right next to the entrance. I'm assuming they don't have a device to see in the dark.
Nightingale 1 here. We're going in. Throw in some stun grenades when I give you the signal.
While the enemies were quiet, Kasai changed his magazine.
Shion-san, that's enough. Please go.
If I go, they'll all fire at you while you reload. You can't do it by yourself.
There was a contradiction in what Shion just said. According to her theory, the last 2 can never escape. Mion kept shouting from the tunnel below.
Damn it, Shion! Hurry up and come down!
Everyone knows it wasn't safe to stay, but nobody could stop Mion from screaming.
Mion and I will wait for Shion here. Rena, why don't you take everyone else and escape into the hills?
Okay. No. I don't want to lose anybody. Rika.
This is the final world. There is no more starting over. I don't want either Shion or Kasai to die. I don't want a future like that. I know we can't redo it, so no, I don't want it. Shion, please come down! As they looked up to the top of the well, they saw a violent flash and heard a roar. Christ. Then they heard explosive sounds, different from the sounds of the machine guns that Shion and Kasai were using. They also heard a tinkling sound, which could have been the sound of bullet shells. They couldn't see anything other than the flashing lights. Only the noise reached them. When everything stopped, after a little silence, footsteps that didn't belong to Shion or Kasai gathered at the top of the well. They could hear hard-soled shoes kicking the bullet shells as they walked.
It's clear. Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1, we've secured the loopholes.
That voice echoed down the well, and Mion and the others heard it too. They didn't know how to react. Some became speechless, some started to cry, some let out a wordless scream. They looked up the well as they waited for Shion and Kasai to come down, but there was no sign of them. A bright beam of light shone down from the top of the well. Irie grabbed Mion and Keiichi's collars and pulled them back, but they could see in the dark. They might already know that Keiichi and the others were hiding in that horizontal tunnel.
Roger. We'll try. Can you hear us? You don't need to reply, just listen.
A guy shouted from the top of the well.
We want the Queen Carrier, Rika Furude, and Director Kyosuke Irie. You've misunderstood something. We are here to eradicate a unique local disease. What's happening right now is because we suspect the Director's involvement in a conspiracy. You have nothing to do with this. Turn them over to us.
They had already turned all the flashlights off, so nobody could tell what kind of expressions were on each other's faces. But I could sense Mion's expression distorting. And because of the darkness, nobody knew to stop her from screaming.
You murderer! You killed Shion! Oh, are you talking about this girl? Don't worry, she's still alive. She's just unconscious.
She's alive! She's alive, Mii-chan!
Mion didn't rest easy at their announcement, though, because she knew Shion's survival wouldn't help resolve this situation.
Same with the guy, he's alive too. But if we refuse to turn those 2 over to us, we'll have to use them both as bargaining chips.
What are you going to do to them? As Mion looked up to the top of the well in the dark, it suddenly became very bright and she saw something unbelievable. Shion was unconscious and one of the men was holding her. He was basically sticking her body out over the edge of the well. If the man let go of Shion, she would fall to the bottom. They had no idea how far down it went. There was no way she'd survive.
Shion!
Shion didn't reply, but she moved just a little bit. Shion was alive, at least for the moment.
No. No way. They won't push her off. Huh? What are you saying? They can easily kill a hostage if they have more than one. They have Shion and Kasai-san. He'll push Shion off and just ask the same question again. He means it.
Mion lashed out fiercely at Keiichi. He regretted saying what he just did.
I'll give you a little time to think, but after 60 seconds, the first hostage will go down. Think it over very carefully. What should we do?
Mion was half crazed with fear and panic.
They want me. Let them think Rika-san has already escaped. I'll go. They should be satisfied with just me.
That plan sounded like the best idea for minimizing damage, but Rena quietly spoke up.
No. Shion and Kasai-san risked their lives to buy time so we could escape. If you went back, what they did would be wasted.
Then what do you suggest we do? Are you saying we should let Shion die? Are you saying you don't care if Shion dies, Rena? Fucking damn you!
Jeez.
Please stop, Mion-san! I don't know what to do either. Because Shion-san is my nene.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understand this was written in a different time, like 15 years ago or so, something like that, but... Nene? I think we've already read it before, but it only just fucking hit me. I'm not gonna say the joke if you don't get it, because I don't want to ruin it for more people, but Christ.
Shion! Shion!
Mion started to cry as she held Satoko's head. The mountain dog's beam of light shone into the horizontal tunnel. Their eyes had grown used to the darkness, so even with a little light, they could sort of see one another. But so what? This was a desperate situation, and Mion and Satoko continued to cry. Rena bit her lower lip, trying to hold her feelings in. Irie simply looked down. And as for Rika and Hanyu, they were restless.
What do we do, Hanyu? I don't know what to do.
I don't know either.
Hey, you're a god, aren't you? Do something. Do something! Use your psychic powers to knock the enemies down. Help Shion! Only a miracle can save her. You're a god! Make a miracle happen!
Slap. They all heard a strange sound. Everyone was surprised to see what caused it. Hanyu just slapped Rika in the face.
Yeesh.
Rika, listen to me.
Hanyu?
We both have experienced many worlds, and we have learned much. Sometimes you learned, and sometimes I learned. We've learned so many important things, and now in this world, we've learned the most important thing. Something we've been pursuing, something we finally got. Do you know what that is?
It was how to make a miracle happen. A miracle is like a number you get on a die. People think that the result of the roll depends on God's mood. God holds the key to miracles. Humans don't have the right to control them. But, although humans don't have the right, they can perceive. They can perceive how to improve their odds, and how they can make a miracle happen.
How to make a miracle happen.
Rika, you should already know. You learned it before I did. This world must be precious to you. Why don't you try it this one last time?
Rika's mouth hung open. That's right, she thought. I had forgotten again how to make a miracle happen.
You all go ahead and escape.
Rika stood up. Everyone was surprised to hear what she said.
Irie, take them. I'll go out there. Takano means to kill us both.
But she wants to kill me in a certain way. So she won't kill me for a while.
Are you kidding? You'll end up dead anyway!
If I don't go, she and Kasai will be killed. I'll let them capture me. The time it will take Takano to kill me will give you a chance to counterattack.
Rika-chan.
Why is the text black? I was like, I'm not able to read that. No, I am. It's just, holy fuck.
Thinking about it now, the answer was very simple.
Did I accidentally click something? That's fucking stupid looking. No, there's nothing. Wow. As she spoke, Rika stepped out of the horizontal tunnel and reached the ladder. The beam of light shone down upon her. Oh, this is because, oh, I understand why it's doing that. I understand why. Because it wants you to like, not have the fucking text box opacity. Yeah. Okay, well, eat my ass. Because I'm keeping it. In this dark world, her figure seemed almost holy, like someone receiving a divine revelation.
Because we all believe we can win. You, me, and even God believe in it. This is nothing. Nipa.
Rika's smile told them that she trusted them 100%. She believed someone would come rescue her before she got killed. That was why she didn't mind letting the enemy capture her. If it would save Shion and Kasai's lives, then it was nothing.
I'm coming up right now. Pull Shion back, okay?
The mountain dogs pulled Shion's body away from the edge of the well. If you even think of touching my friends, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. Takano wants to kill me personally, so if that happens, you'll be in big trouble, okay?
Alright. Come on up.
Let all of my friends go. According to your plan, they'll all die anyway.
No, we can't do that. We won't kill them, but we have to restrain them.
Well, that's a pity. Farewell. It'll be faster to let go of this ladder than to bite my tongue. This is a very deep well. If you can't produce my corpse, then that ruins your plans too, doesn't it? As long as they captured Rika, the mountain dogs didn't really care about the others. They were ready to kill the rest if they resisted once they had Rika. That's why they wouldn't agree to Rika's request. They started to think that maybe they should just lie to Rika. But that was when they heard something. Hanyu started to speak in a queer voice. It was a voice with a very mysterious tone. It sounded like it was coming from below the surface of the earth, but it also sounded like it was coming from heaven. Hanyu spoke.
I am saying that I accept the deal. Quit complaining and do as she says, lowlifes. Rika Furude is coming up. You will fulfill her little request. Heaven will not provide to those who won't offer anything themselves. Stop thinking above yourselves, humans. Know your place in the sin of pretending to be more.
Nightingale 1, the member who had been demanding their surrender, was suddenly overcome by a strange sensation. He had been in such an advantageous position, but somehow it didn't seem that way anymore. And that girl's voice, there was something strange about it. That voice belonged to something both holy and sacred. He instinctively sensed it. Humans can only negotiate with other humans. It's impossible to negotiate with a being greater than all humans.
Wait, I'll check with the commander. Wait a minute. Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1.
He had been very threatening until just a minute previous, but he had grown completely perplexed. Everyone was stunned by Rika and Hanyu's mysterious auras.
We'll come rescue you. Right away, okay?
Rena muttered as she tried to hold back her tears.
Okay, we'll accept your request. We'll let everyone else go. Rika Furude, you come up. Major Takano says there's something she wants to talk to you about.
Okay, I'm coming up. Nipa.
The music and fucking presentation fading to white makes it seem like she's fucking dying. Is that not the end of the chapter? Okay, no. This is a good, not chapter, but you know what I mean. This is a good enough stopping point. Knowing me, it's probably like 10 minutes from the end, but whatever. We're going to end here. It's a good enough transition. This is possibly a 3-hour chapter. Who fucking knows? But regardless, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye! Yeah.